What's going on, Beehive? It's LexiV03 and I am back with another video. As you can tell by the title, today's video is going to be a story time mukbang. So me and my mom are headed out to pick up some Taco Bell right now. I would have driven myself, but it is raining and my dad's not home and my mom has an SUV and I don't drive SUVs. I'm still an early driver, so I'm not gonna drive, but I'll still eat and do a story time. We are headed to Taco Bell right now and I'm going to basically do a story time with you guys about me getting my license on my birthday. My birthday was yesterday, but right now we are headed to Taco Bell. And I am basically, I don't want to start the story in the car. I'm gonna start it when we get home. You guys are basically gonna find out everything that happened when I got my license. So continue watching. This is gonna be a very interesting video and a very interesting story. And I'm probably gonna be 30 pounds heavier. So let's go. Okay guys, so we are here at Taco Bell. We just ordered. Now we're waiting for our order. And we got this. People at Taco Bell have attitude though. I'm hungry. So the whole drive home, I'm gonna be smelling Taco Bell and I'm gonna wanna eat it, but I can't. I will hit you guys up when I'm ready to eat the good food. Whoa, okay guys, we secured the bags. People at Taco Bell aren't having a great day. But you decided to work there. But I mean, everybody has their off days. But I ain't tripping off that because I'm ready to eat this food. Gas it, mother, gas it. I am so hungry. Ready to get back home and eat this food because it smells good. I'm actually tempted to eat a packet of sauce. Okay, you guys, we are here in the studio. I just spilled half this taco on the table. It was my thumbnail taco. Okay, guys, we are here in the studio. We have all the great, wonderful food here. Except for, I don't have a straw. I have a beefy Frito burrito, a beefy cheesy burrito griller, Mexican pizza, a mini chicken quesadilla, hard taco, soft taco, and the Cinnabon Delights. They forgot my chalupa. Sis had an attitude, I don't know, but it's okay. It's okay. So, got my straw. Let's begin. I'm gonna go with this because I don't want it to get soggy. I need a fork. Gosh, I keep forgetting stuff. They just didn't give me a fork. So you guys, last year on my birthday, I went to the DMV and I got my permit. You guys can check out that video if you want. It'll be right here. Also in the link down below. At the time, I thought that was the most stressful thing in the world, but no, baby, no. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna start off with this Mexican pizza because it will get soggy if I don't start off with it. Anyways, so last year when I went to get my permit, I thought that was like the most stressful time of my life. I was stressing, but the permit is just a test. Like, it's not you don't have to drive, it's not a driving test. You just sit down in front of a computer screen, you take your test. I don't know why I was stressing over that. This is so good. So I don't know why I was stressing about that at the time. I did get my permit and I was like, okay, yay, I can drive, you know, I felt grown. So that was in 9th grade when I turned 15 and I got my permit on my birthday. So then in 10th grade, I signed up for driver's ed because I'm like, okay, you know, you can get your yellow card in driver's ed. If you don't know what your yellow card is, basically you take a driver's ed course, and towards the end of the course, the teacher will decide if you're ready to get your driver's license. So then you don't actually have to go to the DMV and take the test. You'll just get your yellow card. And if you do get your yellow card, you just take the card to the DMV and they'll give you your license. So I'm like, okay, I can do this and I can just get my yellow card and it'll be great because then I won't have to take the test. Yeah, that's definitely what I thought. So I enrolled for driver's ed. 10th grade, and this was the beginning of the semester. And I wasn't really driving. I was driving with my dad, and I was like a pretty decent driver. It was all good because the beginning of the course is all pretty much textbook stuff. You say taking like textbook tests, and it's like book work. Then you start to do actual driving. So the way it works at my school, you have a study hall. So like I was saying, it's all pretty much text work. But the way it works at my school, you drive once a week or once every 2 weeks. You drive a total of 3 or 4 times. So your driver's ed instructor only sees you drive 3 or 4 times. I didn't know it was like that when I signed up for the class. I thought it was gonna be more of like okay, you're doing good, but do this instead. And then like at the very end, you know, he'll let you do something by yourself. Like you literally just drive wherever he tells you to drive. And that's it. At first I was nervous. I didn't want to talk. I never really spoke while I was behind the wheel. I was so quiet and so nervous. And he called me Squirrel. They called me Secret Squirrel because I don't actually know. They said I act like a secret squirrel. So they called me Secret Squirrel. So they were basically like, Squirrel never talks when she's driving because she's nervous. And that was true, like I didn't talk. So the people who I drove with, so basically it was me, my instructor, and 2 other students. We were all in the same group. So they would be there, and I was like nervous to drive. I didn't want to drive. So it was me and the 2 other students, and I was nervous because I didn't want to kill them. I didn't want to kill myself. And I did not think I was a great driver. Like, I was so nervous. And at the time, I didn't drive that often with my dad. But also, you had to keep a driving log in that class. So you had to drive at least a couple of hours a week. And that was actually like your homework. So it was a pretty easy course to pass, like grade-wise. But when it comes to getting your yellow card, it's a whole nother story. So the time comes for me to drive. This is probably my 3rd or 4th time driving. So I was doing pretty good in the beginning. And then this day just had to happen. So I'm pretty sure this was close to my last time having to drive. I don't think I had to drive anymore. Maybe 1 time after that. But it was coming up to my last time. And I was doing good in the beginning. I was doing good. So each time a student had to drive, they drove for maybe 30 minutes. I'm not sure. It was a 90-minute class. And it was 3 students, so probably 30 minutes. I was probably 15, 20 minutes into driving. I was doing good. And I pulled up to a stoplight. Thinking about it now, this was so dumb. But anyways, thinking about it now, this was so dumb. Okay, so the way the street I was on was, it was a 4-way. That was a 4-way. So you can go this way, you can come this way, you can go this way, you can go this way. And I was right here driving, and the light was red, but I was making a right. And if you're around my age or you drive, then you know that you can make a right on red, but you have to come to a complete stop. That is where I went wrong. So I knew that I could make a right on red, and I knew that I just had to come to a complete stop. And I knew that, but I just didn't do it. So I'm whipping the car, and I'm like, I can do this. And I'm like, I'm pretty good. So I drive. Nobody is coming anywhere. I am the only car going any of the 4 ways. I'm the only person. So I get there. I see the lights red, right? So I'm like, okay, I have to stop. So I go to stop. I was probably 1 second away from stopping. Like, when a car stops, you gotta wait for that kickback to where you kind of like fall back in your seat, the fallback of the car. I didn't wait for that, so I'm like, pretty much stopped. So I just went, right? I was so upset. And right after that, he was like, my instructor was like, you were doing so good, Secret Squirrel, until you rammed that red light. My heart fell. I was so mad. I kid you not. I cried. I didn't cry. I wanted to cry though. But it was like, dang, I really just bombed it. Like I can't get my yellow card now. And of course I had to keep driving, and I was just sitting in the back of my head while I'm driving, thinking about how I just ran that red light. And what driver instructor is gonna give you your yellow card or your license if you run a red light? I finished driving, so then another person drove, and I literally laid down in the back seat because you couldn't have your phone with you. Your phone had to go in your bag, and your bag had to go in the trunk. You couldn't have your phone or you would get in trouble. And you basically just had to sit and be quiet. And we didn't really just sit there in silence. Like, we talked and have a conversation while someone was driving, depending on who was driving, because if they were a bad driver, then I didn't want to mess anybody up. So usually I would talk, and I would just talk to my instructor or whatever, or to the other people in the car, and we would like laugh at dumb stuff. But this time, because I had just messed it up for myself and I just ran a red light, I was not talking. I switched with the next person who was driving. I got in the back seat and I laid down. I laid down because I was sad. And the people in the car like, no, that's not like me to just lay down. Like, I'm gonna be talking about something or doing something stupid. I don't know. I'm gonna be doing something other than just sitting there in my feelings. So nobody saw that. So I'm laying down in the back seat. My instructor's in the passenger seat. He turns around and goes, "It's okay, Secret Squirrel." And he laughs at me because I was just laying there. And like I said, you guys, that was like one of my last times driving. So we get back to the school and everyone tells the story about how I ran a red light. I was embarrassed, but I didn't care that much. Especially when I found out I wasn't the only one who ran a red light. But that is how I ended up having to take my license test at all. So my birthday comes. It was yesterday. Happy birthday to me. I had a really fun birthday, actually. I got checked out of school yesterday to go take this test, and I knew I was gonna take the test. And actually like the day before my birthday, my mom was trying to get all the paperwork together, and in my head I knew exactly what the paperwork was, but I didn't want to tell her because I didn't want to take the test. I didn't want to take the test and fail it. I just didn't want to take the test at all. So I wasn't telling her where it was. But I knew she was looking for it. Oh, okay, this is dumb. I might as well tell her. So I went down there and I showed her exactly where it was. All the paperwork she needed, like my passport, birth certificate, it was all in a manila envelope. I knew exactly where it was. And I went down there and I was like, "Here, Mommy." She was like, "I've been looking for that." I was like, so she checks me out of school on my birthday at around 1 o'clock. And before I leave the class, I'm like, "Everybody pray for me that I get my driver's license because I am not trying to take it again." And my teacher, I didn't get my license. My teacher goes, "I didn't get my license the first time I took the test." I was like, "Oh, great." I go to the car with my mom and I'm like, I'm not nervous yet, but I know that the nerves are gonna kick in soon. I wasn't nervous, but in my head I'm like, I'm about to be so nervous. Let me just chill for this car ride because I know I'm about to be nervous. So when I got there, we met with my driver instructor. And this was a different driver instructor. My mom signed me up for a class with a driving instructor, and basically he pretty much teaches you how to drive and gives you good tips, like really good tips, and he runs the test through with you. So he's not really gonna say whether you get your license or not. That's not his job, but he will take you through the course. So it is a pretty helpful class. So we meet with him and he tells me we can go over the test one more time because you know you've already been through it. But I did not go through the test with him because in my previous lesson with him, I got sick. So I just went home and I never got to run through the test. So I ended up actually going through the course with him only 3 times before I actually had to take my test. And that was like the most nerve-wracking thing ever. So he goes, oh my goodness, you haven't gone through the test with me yet? And I'm like, no, I haven't. Last time I got sick. He was like, dang. And that what started really getting my nerves because like he wasn't able to go through the test with me before I actually took the test. It was basically like a study guide for a test. He wasn't able to go through the study guide with me, except for 20 minutes before I had to take the test. So I get in the car and I'm like, I'm nervous. He tells me pretty much every single thing that they're gonna say. He tells me every question they're gonna ask me and every single thing I have to do. And I was like, okay, I didn't talk either. Like when I was driving with him, I didn't talk. And he made a comment, it was so funny, but it was so true. He was like, you're not talking. It's like you're scared to lose a piece of the information that I'm giving you. And it was so true. Like I was trying to hold every single piece of information. I was so nervous. We go through the route maybe 2 or 3 times and I was scared. One time I went through it with him, I did pretty good. He said I would have gotten my driver's license if that was the real test. So I felt a little bit better, but I was nervous. So it's time for me to take the test, you guys, and the instructor is so nice. She was a new instructor there, but she was so nice, she was so sweet, and she made everything so simple for me to do. So the first thing I did was I had to check my blinkers, had to check the horn, had to check the brakes, and had to check the emergency brake. So I did that. And then it's time to actually drive. I have a very, very, very bad test anxiety. So I'm sitting there and my right knee is just, it's just like bouncing. You know how you like kind of bounce your foot like when you're waiting, or you kind of like do this with your hand? But I was doing that with my foot and I have to drive with my right foot. So I could not stop. Like I was nervous, my heart was racing. And like I was literally driving with my foot going like this on the pedal. I was trying so hard to stop it, but I can't help it. Like it just happens. I cannot help it at all. So I would start driving. I'm like, okay, I'm doing fine. I'm like, let me not hit this curb because you know if you hit a curb, you're done. So I go. I'm like, okay, I don't think I hit the curb. I'm good. I go again. I make another turn. I'm like, okay, I don't think I hit the curb. I'm good. Then she makes me park on a curb at an incline. So, you know, I had to do all that stuff. Turn the wheel, put up the brake. Well, the car was in park. Turn the wheel, put up the brake, and acted like I was turning off the car. So I'm like, hey, I did that. I just did it, and I did it good. And it was that part of the test that was like messing with me because the instructions were confusing. Like it was like, I only got to practice it 3 times. In my whole life, that I've only done it 3 times. So then I make a 3-point turn and I start to go right, and then it's time to reverse. So I reverse the car to come back. Then it's time to drive your normal. But I don't put the car back in drive. I left it in reverse. So I take my foot off the gas. I'm like, oh, car's going backwards. Oh my gosh. So I was like, I cussed myself out in my head. I was like, really, Lexi, you really just did that? You really couldn't? So I was doing that in my head. And I was like, keep calm. Put it in drive, turn my blinker on, check to the right, and I went. It was at that moment when the car started going in reverse that I didn't put it back in drive that I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I failed. Like, take me back home. I was so mad. I was so scared. And even talking about it, like, I'm getting nervous for some reason. I was so nervous and the anxiety was so real. That's really when my foot just started shaking. So I continued going throughout the test. She asked me to make a left turn and I'm like, okay. Then I'm like, there's a truck coming. So I'm like, well, let me inch up a little bit. So I go a little bit, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna chill, wait for the truck to pass. Truck passes, I go, everything's good, and I make it back to the DMV, and she was like, okay, now. And I'm like, okay, I failed. Just tell me I failed, just let me go. So, you guys, this was probably the most nervous part of the whole thing, was sitting and talking to her in the car. She asked me, she was like, this isn't the car you normally drive, is it? You don't drive a car like this. I was like, no. The car I practice on, Cinnabon Delights. The car I practice on, the gear shifts, all the gears, they're not like, it's usually like a little toggle, little joystick looking thing right to the right of you, and you just kind of switch the gears. The car I drive in, it's right here. The steering wheel's right here, and everything is right here. It's my dad's car. It's probably hard for you guys to imagine if you've never seen it, but basically it's like you have your steering wheel, and it's kind of like one of those like windshield handles when you go like that, but it's on this side, and it has park, reverse, neutral, all that, and you just kind of switch it with your hands. So I'm not used to using the gear shifter to the right. Also, the emergency parking brake is not a pull-up thing. It's like a little button that you press, and like that was new to me driving that car. So she said that she could tell, and I was like, good, at least she could tell. Because when I accidentally left the car in reverse and tried to drive, I was looking for it right here, but it's right here. So I'm glad that she could notice that, because then it's like, I'm not that bad of a driver. This is just not the car I always drive. These are good. So she talks to me and she's like, I can tell how nervous you are. You know, I can tell that you weren't so comfortable in this car because it's not the car you usually drive. And she was basically explaining all that to me. And then she goes, I'm not gonna fail you, but I'm like, what was that? You're not gonna fail me. What was that? Say it again. I was like, okay, she's not gonna fail me? Like, did she just say that? Or did I hear it wrong? So I'm waiting. I'm like, keep talking so you can say it again or something, so I could really be sure. I wanted to sit there and cry in that seat because I was so nervous. My eyes started tearing. Anyways, so she basically explained what I did. She said, when I had to make a left turn and the truck was coming, she thought I was gonna go, but then she realized that I made the decision to stay, and she was like, good job. And I was like, first of all, I was just inching up, but okay. But we sat in the car for like 10 minutes talking, and she was like, it was a really, she told me that she was on the fence about it. She's like, I'm on the fence, you know, I think you can do it. I'm just really nervous. And I don't want, and she said she didn't want to decline me my license and make me have to go through that whole test all over again. Because I was nervous, I was shaking, anxiety was getting to me. She had asked me if I had test anxiety, and I was like, yeah, I do. She was like, she said she could tell, and she said my driving wasn't bad. She could just see how nervous I was while taking the test. And she could tell that the car I was in, you know, I'm not used to it. So she ended up giving me my license, and I was so thankful. She was like, just promise me that, you know, you'll do some more practicing just so that you can not be so nervous. And in my head, I'm going, I'm not nervous. It's just I'm sitting in the car with you, and you're about to tell me if I can get my license or not. I was only nervous to take the test. I'm not really nervous when I'm actually driving. You know, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't really nervous to drive. I was more nervous taking the test because I didn't want to have to take it again. So yeah, she gave me my license, and I was so happy, you guys. I was like, hallelujah, praise the Lord. I was so happy. And we got out the car, and I gave the keys back to the instructor. So I was so happy. But one tip or one takeaway that I have, drive the test that you practice on. Drive the car. You can't drive a test. What? Drive the car that you practice on when you go to take the test. The only reason I didn't drive the car I practice on is because my instructor, the guy who was teaching me how to drive, we used his car. Which I didn't even know you could bring your own car until just now. Or I would have. That was my story, and even now I'm still thinking about it like, dang, I really passed it. Like, I did that. No matter how nervous I was. But I was really sitting there like praying to God. I was like, please help me to pass this test so I don't have to take it again. and hallelujah, because I passed. So that is all for my story about how I got my license. I am a licensed driver. I can legally drive myself anywhere, and I'm feeling pretty good about it, except will I ever actually drive myself anywhere? Probably not, because I just don't like driving. I just don't like it. It's too much. But at least I can say I'm a legal driver. Now, will I actually ever get a car? That's another story time. I'm not too pressed about getting a car just because I don't live very far from my school. It doesn't take me long to get there. And the only place I really go is school. Yeah, that's the story about how I got my license. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Hit that post notification bell so that you can be notified every single time I post a new video. Hit the subscribe button. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for all the birthday wishes, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.